Here's your third secret. Relationships flourish in an atmosphere of emotional transparency, especially when both people speak clearly about the deeper emotions such as fear, sadness, and longing.
We teach couples how to listen to the truth about everything from their partners. We teach them how to speak the truth about everything to their partners. Everything means everything. Feelings, deeds, hopes, dreams. We ask them to consider any hesitation about telling or hearing the unvarnished truth to be a symptom of resistance to greater love and creativity.
We know this move is radical because it produces huge bursts of creative energy in everyone who tries it. As a practice, it has awesome power. Even as a concept, it polarizes people quickly. We've seen talk show audiences erupt in cheers and boos when we've said couples need to tell the truth to each other about everything. After 30 plus years, though, we have never found an exception yet to the truth rule.
We've seen hundreds of examples of something we would never have believed unless we had personally witnessed it. Long-dead marriages being brought to life by 10 seconds of emotional transparency. When we began working with couples 30 years ago, we had no idea of the extent to which people will go to conceal emotions they desperately want to avoid feeling or saying. Many people will sacrifice the relationship itself to avoid sharing an emotional intimacy that would literally have taken 10 seconds to say.
There are three main feelings that cause most of the trouble in long-term relationships: anger, grief, and fear. It's never the feelings themselves that are the problem. It's the unwillingness to confront them in ourselves and to talk about them to others. To make it easier, we've developed a simple but comprehensive roadmap which can be taught to any couple in less than an hour.
Emotional transparency is the ability to know your own feelings and to talk about them so that others understand them clearly. At the other end of the continuum is emotional opaqueness. You do not know how you feel and cannot talk about your feelings so that people understand them.
In close relationships, a lot of damage is done by emotional opaqueness. Sometimes the damage is done willfully. Some people just refuse to look into their feelings or to talk about them clearly so they can punish others. They use their hidden emotions as a weapon. Much of the time, though, people remain opaque simply because they don't have the information and they lack the practice.
Suppose you ask your mate, "What are you feeling right now?" Emotional transparency is the ability to check inside and then to say, "I'm afraid," or "I'm angry," or "I'm feeling very close to you right now." Emotional opaqueness is when your mate won't look inside or doesn't know how. Emotional opaqueness is, "I don't know," or "I'm not feeling anything."
If a human being is breathing, that human being is also feeling. When human beings are eating, they're also feeling. Awake or asleep, at work or at play, we're all feeling all the time. In the background of all human experience is the rich play of emotion and sensation. If you compare the logical thinking part of the brain to the emotional feeling part, you'd see a huge difference. The feeling part is about the size of the juicy part of a grapefruit. The thinking part is the size of the rind. Human beings got to this point in evolution by having a lot of feelings. Now, to make our relationships evolve, we absolutely need to reveal our emotions to those we care about with the lucidity of a sparkling, clean window. Once you're committed to this level of emotional transparency, what do you need then to make good on your commitment?
There are only two skills, both incredibly simple. However, due largely to societal programming, both are incredibly challenging to master. Here's the first skill: knowing what you're feeling. And the second skill: speaking the simple truth about it.
From our practical experience, we can tell you that the first skill involves 4 things: knowing when you're scared, knowing when you're angry, knowing when you're sad, and knowing when you've got sexual feelings. Those aren't the only 4 feelings, of course, but those are the 4 feelings that cause the most trouble in relationships when you hide them from yourself or from the people you care about.
The second skill is speaking simply about those 4 feelings to the people you care about. It's learning to say simple truths like, "I'm scared," and "I'm angry," to the people you want to be close to. It's learning to speak the emotional truths of your life in such a way that the people you care for don't have to wonder about what you're actually feeling.
Focus on talking about your feelings to people you care about. If you don't care about someone, you can speak truthfully about your feelings to them, but it's not essential. With people you care about, though, it's absolutely essential that you know your feelings and speak truthfully about them. Emotional honesty brings people closer together.
You become a hero in your own life the moment you commit to knowing your feelings and speaking about them honestly. In your relationships, you become the trailblazer rather than the trailer. You become the place where truth is born, not the place where it goes to die. There's an intrinsic satisfaction to taking a stand for truth in a world where it's in such short supply. The rewards don't stop there, though.
Becoming the source of truth is a reward you can feel and enjoy immediately in your own body. You get an instant surge of vitality each time you acknowledge the truth and speak about it simply. If it's a truth you've been carrying for a while, the feeling of releasing it is like suddenly shedding a heavy load you've been carrying on your shoulders. You feel a joyful relief, and you also become aware of the burden you've been carrying. Next time you get the urge to withhold a significant truth, you can think twice because you remember the heaviness of it.
Conscious listening comes from an intention to tune in to the speaker's experience and draw out from them as much as they'd like to share. Conscious listening avoids imposing the listener's experience on the speaker unless it's asked for. Herein lies the reason it's so hard to do. In the heat of conflict, none of us feel that our point of view is being considered. When stress levels get cranked up, most of us feel that our experience is being slighted or downright ignored. Yet that's the very moment when a few seconds of conscious listening can make great strides toward restoring harmony.
Here's a practical action plan. The first step of your action plan is a 2-pronged commitment. To become emotionally transparent, we all need to make a commitment to showing our feelings, sharing our feelings, and hearing the feelings of others. It's a commitment to seeing and saying what's real, combined with a commitment to hearing what's real in the other person's experience.
Here are 2 commitments we ask people to make in the early stages of our work with them. These commitments open the doorway to a world of gentle but powerful changes in a relationship. Here's the first one. I commit to letting all my feelings be seen, heard, and appreciated. And here's the second. I commit to seeing, hearing, and appreciating all the feelings of others.
You might think it sounds odd to use verbs like seen and seeing in regard to feelings. Most people probably think of feelings as something you talk about with your mouth and hear with your ears. However, over 90% of feelings are communicated through our body language, and this visible language can be seen before any spoken version of our feelings. In order to hear what's really going on, first you have to listen with your eyes to see what's going on. A raised eyebrow or a clenched jaw muscle speaks eloquently about your feelings, usually long before your conscious mind can organize a spoken communication about them. The trick is for both people in a relationship to learn to appreciate that eloquence and turn it into an ally.
It might also seem odd to see the word appreciating in the commitment. Most of us, when we're stuck, don't feel very appreciative toward our feelings or anybody else's. Here, though, we're using appreciate in the sense of being sensitively aware of. A person who appreciates art has cultivated the skill of being sensitive and aware of the subtleties of art. In this spirit, we all need to become sensitive and aware of the subtleties of feeling, both in ourselves and others.
In emotional communication, simple is good. The simplest, clearest way to talk about your feelings is to begin with what we call a one-breath statement. One-breath statements take only one breath to deliver. In clock time, it's only a few seconds, and that's plenty long enough for most important communications. Here are a few examples of one-breath communications. I'm angry right now. I still feel hurt and sad. I'm scared about giving a speech this afternoon.
The second part of your action plan is to get comfortable with delivering one-out-breath statements about the key feelings that come up in close relationships. The big three are anger, fear, and sadness.
Here's a 10-second technique to bring this secret to life. Whenever you're experiencing a conflict with yourself or your partner, make this following move first. Notice any body sensations in your shoulders, chest area, or around your navel. Take a deep, relaxed breath and describe those sensations in one breath. Eventually, you might get sensitive enough to identify the stomach sensations as fear, the shoulder tightening as anger, and the chest constriction as sadness. In the beginning, though, just report the body sensation by saying something like, "My stomach is getting tight right now." Later, you can report more detail, like, "I'm scared."
Statements like that are unarguable. People don't argue with them. But saying something like, "You're making my stomach tight," or "You're scaring me," is arguable. The best way to stop an argument is by saying something unarguable. We've seen that one simple technique save hundreds of relationships and set the stage for lasting love.